Well, we take you now to a demonstration outside the Supreme Court earlier this evening, led by House Minority Leader Nancy Pelosi and Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer, protesting President Trump's executive order restricting travel from 7 Muslim-majority countries. It's about 45 minutes.
On the sidewalk. Stand up, fight back! Stand up, fight back! Stand up, fight back! Stand up, fight back! Confused as to why they stand up, fight back! Yeah, you do.
You're going to tell the ladies you can't come. So I'm not a lady, you can't come. You don't have to put somebody on the stand. Someone on the stand. Let's be reasonable. Sorry? There's no room for the Senate. The one that's staying here.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you very much for coming out. Is the sound working? Got it? The sound working? I can hear you. Can you hear us? Is the sound working?
I don't think it is.
Good evening, everyone. I'm very proud to stand with the members of the House Democratic Caucus, soon to be joined by the Senate Democrats as well. It's not on? Is somebody going to deal with this? Crack stack?
Where's some staff? No, that's
something else.
Look at that moon.
Look at that moon. It's a new moon. Can you hear now? Oh, much different. Good evening, everyone. I'm very proud to stand here with the members of the House Democratic Caucus, soon to be joined by the Senate Democrats as well, sharing views in a bipartisan way with many of our Republican colleagues who agree that what the president did undermines our values and is not in support of the oath of office that we take to support and defend the Constitution of the United States. Can't hear?
Bring it closer.
Can you hear now? No, that doesn't do any good.
Try to get close to it, see if you can.
Does this work better? No. As staff, sound people, shall we sing This Land Is Your Land again until they get the sound working?
This land is your
land,
this land is my land.
from
California to the New York Islands, from the redwood forest to the Gulf Stream waters. This land was made for you and me. As I went walking From the redwood forest to the Gulf Stream waters, this land was made for you and me. This land is your land.
We're good.
This land is my land. From California to the New York Islands. From the redwood forest to the Gulf Stream waters, this land was made for you and me.
Yay! Woo! Thank you, Joe Crowley, for getting us through the sound here. This land is our land. It's the land of our founders. It's the land of our future. I am proud to be standing here with the members of the House Democratic Caucus, 100% of our House Democratic leadership, right? Steny Hoyer, Mr. Clyburn, Mr. Crowley, Ms. Sanchez, other members. We will shortly be joined by our colleagues from the Senate Democrats, but we share a view with our Republican colleagues that what the president did is not constitutional. Indeed, in the view of many of us, it is immoral. Protect all of us, take an oath of office to protect and defend the Constitution of the United States. What the president has done is not in the interest of security. It is reckless. It is reckless and rash. To protect our Constitution and our people, we must be strong and smart. And now I've been joined by our distinguished leader of the United States Senate, Mr. Schumer. We share a view of the importance of the words on the Statue of Liberty. Give me your tired, your poor, your huddled masses yearning to breathe free. You know the rest. It's a statement of values of our country. It's a recognition that the strength of our country is in our diversity, that the revitalization constantly of America comes from our immigrant population. It would now be my time to introduce two very brave, determined, courageous, optimistic newcomers to our country. But first, I'm going to introduce and yield to a champion for the principles embodied in the Statue of Liberty and fought for since our country began, including this weekend at airports throughout the country. I thank all of you for coming. I ask all of you to welcome the distinguished leader of the Senate, Chuck Schumer.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, this order is against what we believe in America. The order will make us unsafe. The order will make us inhumane, and the order will make us less of America, because this order is what America is all about. It will make us unsafe because it will encourage those who are lone wolves as they get more and more isolated, who are our greatest danger. It will make us unsafe because it makes our soldiers who are fighting overseas have fewer allies. And it will make us unsafe because the nations of the world will no longer look up to us. But most of all, it is against what America is all about. America, for its history, has been a shining beacon, and it has said, we welcome you if you are oppressed because of your religion, because of your political beliefs, because of who you are. The lady in the harbor, in the city in which I live, holds a wonderful torch. That torch has stood for the greatness of America to all Americans and to the citizens of the world. We will not let this evil order extinguish that great torch. We will not let this evil order make us less American. We will fight it with everything we have, and we will win this fight.
I'll do the real people now. Okay. Let us all hold our candles high as the Statue of Liberty the Lady of Liberty, let me just get near the mic, holds the torch high. Our president has stooped low in this order. We here tonight ask the president to withdraw this unconstitutional order.
Yes.
And now it is my privilege, our privilege, to introduce Farah Amir Kamal and Omar Al-Maghdad with their stories, their courageous stories.
Yes.
Are they here? Where are they?
Okay. Then next, we will have, they were next, the Senator
Okay.
Murphy.
Yes, Senator Chris Murphy.
Connecticut!
Okay, we'll go next. Okay.
Murphy!
Senator Hirono. This was not logistically
Chuck,
clear.
the guy's trying to talk to you. Chuck, he's trying to talk to you.
Will there be a question and answer?
Okay.
Okay, Representative Jerry Nadler.
Yay!
Okay, we got one
Yeah.
who's here.
Senator, how are you?
Good. I'm good.
Thank you very much.
New York is in the house.
Thank you, Leader Pelosi and Senator Schumer. I'm Congressman Jerry Nadler. I represent the 10th Congressional District in New York, the home of the Statue of Liberty and the home of Ellis Island. Those symbols of America's proud tradition of welcoming people to our shores are a little beaten and battered today because of the little man in the White House, Donald Trump. When the president signed his dangerously stupid executive order Friday afternoon, I knew that it was unconstitutional, discriminatory, and morally reprehensible. What I did not know was that people all over this country would join together so quickly to fight this outrageous policy and to help those in need. That gives me great hope that our country can overcome this dark time. We must overcome this dark time. We must overcome this little man in the White House who is disgracing our history and disgracing our traditions. We must continue to welcome people from all over the world, regardless of their race or their color or their religion or their creed or their national origin. That's what our Constitution demands. That's what our law demands. That's what our people demands. And we will prevail.
Senator.
No ban! No wall! No ban! No wall! No ban! No wall! No ban!
Okay.
No wall!
Senator Ben Cardin.
We are here tonight to make sure that this executive order is repealed and never becomes effective here in the United States of America. This executive order on immigration and refugees is reckless, it's dangerous, and I am ashamed about that executive order. It's against the principles of our nation. It makes us less safe. When we rely upon our allies to help us, we are isolating America with this executive order. We will not allow this nation to impose a religious test as to who can come to America. That is not the United States that we love. We are going to speak out and do everything we need to make sure this does not happen here under our watch. We are united to say no to this type of action. We're going to be here tonight. We're going to be on the floor of the Senate. We're going to be on the floor of the House. We're going to take this debate to the American people. What you see here tonight is happening all over this country. And people are standing up around the world. They need the U.S. leadership for refugees. And the United States must answer that call. So together, we are committed to make sure this executive order is repealed. Together, we will succeed.
Yay! Call on it, Congress.
Last question.
Nydia.
Just identify yourself.
Yes. I'm Congresswoman Nydia Velazquez, and I represent the 7th Congressional District in New York. Saturday, I was with my colleague, Jerry Nadler. We were called by immigrant groups to alert us that there were people that were about to be deported. And I am here to say, as a member of Congress, Mr. President, what you did is shameful. This is not, it is not how you run the government to issue such an executive order that is unconstitutional, that undermines the national security of our country, but also that mistreat people who worked like the person, Amit Darwish. It breaks my heart to see how these refugees who are seeking a better life, who are escaping violence from this country, that we turned our backs on them. That is not who we are. That is un-American, and we will fight to bring justice to everyone in this country, and especially those refugees that are escaping the realities and the horror. Imagine for these men who work for the U.S. government to make it to New York legally and to be detained. Imagine what it was for him to see his wife and his children allowed to enter the United States, and he was handcuffed. That is not the American way, and we are here to say, Mr. President, we're asking you to please reverse this ill-conceived, ill-advised executive order. Is totally un-American. That is not who we are.
Thank you. And now we are asking, we have our two people who just came here, refugees. If you're here, come forward. Farah Amar Kamal and Omar El Muqad. In the meantime, we'll first have Senator Cory Booker. Then we'll hear from Elizabeth Warren.
Can you hear me?
No.
No.
Get up there. Can you hear me now?
No.
Go use the
Can
mic.
you hear me now?
It's not working.
It's not working? Test, test, 1, 2.
No,
Can you hear now?
We don't have time.
All right, ladies and gentlemen. Ladies and gentlemen. Today we don't stand out here as members of Congress.
Yes.
We don't stand here as members of a race or a religion.
Right.
Today we all stand here as American citizens. Every generation of American citizens have had to earn the right to enjoy the freedoms and the privileges of citizenship. Every generation has faced the choice. Do we let our ideals expand or retract? Do we let our freedoms grow or do they retrench? Do we let love expand or do we let love be beaten by hate? This generation now has our test. There is a shadow hanging over our ideals and our values. There is an assault on our values and our principles. And now more than ever, we must choose to fight. We must choose to resist. We must choose to stand up for what we believe in. Now more than ever.
Okay, good.
Now more than ever, as Donald Trump proceeds with an unconstitutional and immoral executive order, we must stand up to this test and fight to make sure that the truth of America is known. I want this last point to be clear. Nothing worthwhile is easy. The values that we enjoy, the freedoms that we have, were paid for by the blood, sweat, and tears of our ancestors. Yes. We now cannot choose to luxuriate in those fights before us. We must earn them now. This fight will be long, this fight will be difficult, but we must understand, when somebody attacks Muslim Americans, they attack all of us. When someone attacks with prejudice, we must respond with love. And so I call on everybody standing here and those that can hear my voice, that we now must be determined to fight for the long haul. We must be determined to stand up for refugees. We must be determined to stand up against hate. Thank you.
Thank you, Cory. Who's next? I'll introduce. Judy Chu. Yeah. One of our refugees is here.
On Friday, President Trump issued his executive order. On Saturday, I received frantic calls in Los Angeles. There were 50 Iranian detainees with green cards that were being held. And I got a call from a constituent whose brother-in-law had a green card but was returning back from Syria and was detained. And so I rushed to LAX to demand answers from CBP, the Customs and Border Patrol. But they denied any response to us. And we found out that amongst those being detained were a 78-year-old woman, a 7-month-old child, a man with a green card who'd had this home for 20 years. And so, this cannot be the America that we know. Donald Trump's Muslim ban is the one that is denying the truth of symbol of the Statue of Liberty. This is Donald Trump's America, but it is not ours.
I know. Okay, now we have, quiet folks, we have somebody, a newly arrived American from Virginia. Iraq. Farah Amar Kamal.
Good evening, everyone. I would like to introduce myself. My name is Farah Amir Kamal Al-Kafaji. I arrived in the United States 3 years ago. I started my work with the U.S. military when I was 19 years old. I established engineering business, supporting your U.S. military, U.S. troops in Iraq.
Here, talk into this. Hold this button and talk into that.
Okay.
Go ahead.
I supported the U.S. military in Iraq in 2003 with my father and all my family. In 2006, my husband was murdered and my father was kidnapped and tortured because our support for the U.S. military, because our belief in the U.S. mission. And my family applied for their visa, and so did I. And I got approved in 2012 after waiting 8 years. 8 years, every day I hide, everywhere. I lived in all cities with my 2 boys, and so is my family. They still in Iraq, they still suffering. My father getting old, I need to see him. I cannot go back. I'm a military spouse. My husband is a military in the Navy, and I cannot go back to Iraq, and I cannot see my father and my family in Iraq, and I need help. This decision is do nothing but separate my family apart, and I pray that the president will change his mind and will do something to reunite me with my family again. I need to see them, and they're great people, and I promise you, they pose no threat for your national security and for no one. They're just amazing people, great people to live with, to work with, and everything. I appreciate your time and for everything. Thank you.
Thank you, Farah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Now we have Elizabeth Warren, Senator Warren. Here, Elizabeth, hold this down.
Hold this down?
Yeah, just the black thing.
Hold it
Where we
straight to
go?
your mouth, Elizabeth.
Raja? Where's Raja?
Donald Trump has issued an executive order that is illegal, that is unconstitutional, and that is immoral. We are here to fight back. That's why we're here. Donald Trump is trying to chip away at the very foundation of our democracy. This country is in crisis. It is no longer business as usual in the United States Congress. It is no longer business as usual in Washington. We are here to step up in this moment. Americans are a good and decent people. We stand with our fellow human beings who flee terrorism. We stand with the people who helped American soldiers. We stand with the people who came here to study, to work, who have families here. We will fight Donald Trump in the courts. We will fight Donald Trump in the Congress. We will band together to fight Donald Trump as he tries to put himself above the law of the United States. This is truly the purest form of patriotism. We are here to defend the Constitution of the United States. We are here to defend our moral foundation. We are here to live our values, to fight for our values today and tomorrow and for as long as it takes to restore the basic decency and vision of this country. This is who we are.
Thank you.
Thank you. You bet.
Thank you, Elizabeth. And now we have another one of our new Americans, Omar El Muqdad. Come over, Omar.
Here we go.
You're welcome.
Hi, guys.
Hi.
Thank you all for being here tonight. First of all, just before I start introducing myself, there's one thing I want to make quick. Refugees are not your enemy. Your enemy is the one who made them refugees.
That's a good point.
Your enemy is the one who made them refugees. My name is Omar Al Muqdad. I came to this country as a refugee from Syria. Yes. I'm a Syrian journalist and filmmaker. I'm an American journalist and filmmaker from a Syrian descent. I fled persecution. I fled Assad regime because I was there followed, harassed by Syrian security forces. I came here seeking freedom, the freedom of speech, the freedom of expressing my opinion without being harassed by police and by security forces. I believe in American principle. I believe in liberalism. I believe in American principle and everything America stands for. I am not your enemy. I am not terrorist. And what's going on out there is really a generalization, is a definition of generalization. You can't paint 7 million Syrian refugees with a single brush and call them terrorists. That's wrong. I want to salute you all for being here. Thank you all. You represent the beautiful face of the United States of America. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Omar.
Rajna Krishnamurthy. Raja.
It's not for Raja. You're next, Maisie. And where's Amy? Okay.
My name is Raja Krishnamurthy. I'm a congressman from Illinois' 8th District. Like my colleagues, I took an oath to uphold and defend the Constitution. I was elected to help grow the economy and help to unify the country. The executive order that was just issued is an assault on the Constitution. It hurts working families and the economy, and it divides our country. It's time to fight back. Are you ready for the fight? Yes. Are you ready to win? Yes. You've heard of evangelical Christians, and I respect them. I'm an evangelical American. I preach the values of liberty, freedom, equality, hard work, and prosperity. If you believe in those values, you are an American, regardless of where you came from, the color of your skin, how you pray, whom you love, and yes, the number of letters in your name.
Okay.
All that matters is you live a good life, you take care of your family, and you give back to your country. Are you ready for the fight? Yeah. Are you ready to win? Yeah. God bless you. God bless America. Thank you.
From the great Middle West, Amy Klobuchar.
I'm here because people need to understand that this isn't just about the coast. This is something that hits at the heartland of America. Minnesota has the second biggest Hmong population in the country, the biggest Somali population, the biggest Liberian population, and this hits everyone in our state. We are proud of our refugees. We are proud of their families. And my story I will leave you with is this. We had a family that went out to dinner, and they were sitting there and a man walked by. They were Muslim, and the man walks by and says, "What are you four doing here?" And the woman says, "We're out for dinner." And he says, "You go home. You go home to where you came from." The little girl looks up at her mom and she says, "Mom, you said that we could eat out tonight. I don't want to go home." You think about that little girl. She didn't even know what he meant, because she only knows one home, and that's my state. And she only knows one home, and that's the United States of America. This order is callous, and it's created chaos, and it must be reversed.
Yay! What do you got?
We have...
Can I just get Maisie up here while we're...
Sure.
Maisie Hirono from the great state of Hawaii.
Oh, there you go.
Aloha, everybody. Aloha. Thank you all for being here. You know, today is the 98th anniversary of Fred Korematsu's birth. Fred was a civil rights activist, and during the height of the anti-Japanese hysteria in World War II, when 120,000 Japanese Americans were sent off to internment camps, Fred Korematsu stood up and said no. He said no, but he was tried and convicted for going against the government's orders. And it was 40 years later that some new evidence was found that showed that the government had hidden some evidence from the Supreme Court, because Fred had taken his case all the way to the Supreme Court, which said that the mass internment was justified because of wartime exigencies. It took 40 years for Fred Korematsu to be vindicated. Whenever our country targets a group, like the Japanese Americans or Muslims, history shows that we have been wrong. So I am an immigrant. My mother brought me to this country in steerage, and if the Trump limitations on immigration had been in place, I would not be standing here today fighting with all of you. We have to fight against this targeting of Muslims, because if we do not stand up today, we will be complicit in what follows. So no ban, no wall. We stand with you. Aloha.
Aloha. Ahilo.
Now we'll hear from Andre Carson, a Muslim member of Congress.
Excuse me, GK. Andre. Get in there.
Andre.
I know, right? Greetings from the great state of Indiana. I'm Congressman Andre Carson. Not only do I represent Indiana's 7th Congressional District very proudly, but I happen to be a Muslim and a former police officer. I want Mr. Trump to know, just as I worked at the Indiana Department of Homeland Security and Counterterrorism, there are thousands like me in our law enforcement community helping to keep America safe. I'm reminded of the great dialogue after the Constitutional Convention between Ben Franklin and a lady by the name of Mrs. Powell. She looked at old Ben and said, "Well, Ben, what do we have? Do we have a republic or a monarchy?" Ben looked at her and he said, "We have a monarchy if you can keep it." A republic. The Socratic question becomes, how do you keep the republic? You keep the republic by having thousands of people, Christians, Muslims, Jewish brothers and sisters, Hindus, Sikhs, Buddhists, non-theists, showing up and showing out and saying, "Mr. Trump, this is not a monarchy, this is a democracy." We want to show Mr. Trump and the Trump administration that all are welcome to the United States, and this is how we keep the republic, by uniting as fellow human beings and saying, no ban, no wall.
No ban, no wall. No ban, no wall. No ban, no wall. No ban, no wall. No ban,
Thank you all for coming out tonight to send a very loud message to Mr. Trump, and that is your ban in denying people the right to visit our country contradicts everything that this country stands for and what our men and women in the military have fought for. Our job is to bring people throughout the world closer together, not to divide them up. And not only is this ban a violation of what we as Americans stand for, it will make us less safe, not more safe. Because what Trump has done is give ammunition to the jihadists all over the world who have told their people that we in the United States hate them. We do not hate the Muslim people, and we want them to know that. So we say to President Trump, rescind that ban. Thank you.
A lady asked me to give this to you.
Rescind that ban.
Thank you, Bernie.
Rescind that ban.
Is John Lewis still in the house?
John Lewis.
Is John Lewis still in the house?
He left.
Is John Lewis still in the house?
John Lewis was standing on the other side. He left.
Okay, I'm going to yield now to the from Maryland, our distinguished whip, Steny Hoyer.
Talk into this thing. Talk into this. It's the loud.
Where did Steny go? Okay.
You can press on that and talk into it.
Why don't you introduce yourself and speak?
It's like this.
All right, go ahead, Al Franken.
All right. Hi, I'm Al Franken from the great state of Minnesota. You know, Amy Klobuchar just came up here. She said that we have the largest Somali refugee population in the country, and we are so proud of our Somali community. I want to tell you a story. We had, about a year and a half ago, a young lady from Wilmer, Minnesota, named Muda Abdullahi, and my staff told me that she was a new Senate page. And they said that she had written an essay, her principal had recommended her, and she was very impressive, so she was a new page. So I went down to meet her. It wasn't hard to pick her out from the 30 new Senate pages because she had a hijab. And she's Somali. So I came up to her and I went, "You look like a Minnesotan." And she said, "Yeah." And so this past June, I went to the greatest event I've gone to in the last couple years. And it was a high school graduation in Wilmer, Minnesota. And I invited myself so I could introduce Muna, who is a graduating senior, and she'd been chosen as her class speaker. And it was a beautiful, beautiful ceremony. And the kids gave her a standing ovation. And the class was about 65% Minnesota, Norwegian, German stock, about 15% Latino. The valedictorian was a Latina, and about 10% Somali, and Muna gave the class address. Well, this fall, on election day, I was at the University of Minnesota getting out the vote, and I saw Muna, and she told me that her sister had just been voted homecoming queen. After that, when I came back here, I spoke to the French ambassador to the United States. I said, "What do you call a Frenchman? Who do you consider a Frenchman in France?" And he said a Frenchman is someone who can point to a village that his family came from in France centuries ago. That's why France has a problem, has an assimilation problem, why Belgium does. There, to be a Frenchman, you have to point to a village that you were your family was from centuries ago. In Minnesota, our Somalis are Americans, and we vote them homecoming queen. This executive order is wrong, and worse than that, it's dangerous. It sends the wrong message to everyone around the world. This is not America. This is not America. Thank you.
Why don't you yell just...
Impeach Trump! Impeach
Senator
Trump!
Merkley has been... Oh, Senator Blumenthal. John, let me just do this one thing. Where is it here? Is John Lewis still in the House? No, he left. Okay, I'm going to yield to the Senate. Senator Blumenthal. And I'm going to leave.
I am Richard Blumenthal from the great state of Connecticut. And I just want to say real quickly, you know, my dad came to this country in 1935 to escape persecution as a refugee. He was 17 years old. He had not much more than the shirt on his back. He spoke no English, and he knew nobody in this country. The United States of America gave him a chance to succeed. He would be sad and ashamed of this order. He was a proud American, but he would be sad and ashamed of a ban on anyone based on religion or race or national origin. That kind of ban and discrimination are not only anti-immigrant, anti-refugee, anti-Muslim, it is anti-American. And so we need to fight, be strong, and we will with your help. And this movement is capturing America. America is rising. America is rising, and it should, because this is a threat not just to one religion or one race, it's a threat to all of us. Thank you for being here tonight. Thank you, Leader Pelosi, and I'm happy to introduce now my colleague, Jeff Merkley.
Senator Merkley from the great state of Oregon. Oregon stands for liberty. Do you stand for liberty? Oregon stands for justice. Do you stand for justice? Lady Liberty is crying tonight. Do you stand with Lady Liberty? Give us your tired, your poor, your huddled masses yearning to breathe free. Isn't that what America is all about? Are we going to stand with the widows and the children and the interpreters coming to America? So let's send a message to Donald Trump. Read the Constitution. Message to Donald Trump. Learn about religious liberty, religious freedom. Message to Donald Trump. Tear down that ban. Tear down that ban. Tear down that ban. Tear down that ban. Thank you.
Great job.
Who's next? Who's next? Anybody else? Any House members? Some members?
Can I say a few words?
Yes, we wrapped it up.
Good job.
Thank you for holding that for me.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I can just ask you a couple of questions. Explain your...
Earlier this evening, President Donald Trump fired Acting Attorney General Sally Yates after she announced she would not defend the executive order on immigration and refugees. A statement from the White House reads in part, "The Acting Attorney General Sally Yates has betrayed the Department of Justice by refusing to enforce a legal order designed to protect the citizens of the United States. This order was approved as to form and legality by the Department of Justice Office of Legal Counsel. Ms. Yates is an Obama administration appointee who is weak on borders and very weak on illegal immigration." The statement says that tonight President Trump relieved Ms. Yates of her duties and subsequently named Dana Bonte, U.S. Attorney for the Eastern District of Virginia, to serve as acting Attorney General until Senator Jeff Sessions is finally confirmed by the Senate. Part of the statement this evening from the White House. The nomination of Senator Jeff Sessions to be the next Attorney General gets a vote by the Senate Judiciary Committee tomorrow.